tell the size of the man by the size of his problems. I don't know any other 21-year-olds with my problems, so I must be doing something right. Have you ever worked an 80-hour work week only at the end of it to lose $2,000? Because I have, and that's been this week. And unfortunately, it's happened more than a few times this summer. Wake up at 5:30 a.m. this morning, drive an hour to work in the fucking cold, and at the end of this week, I started this project last Sunday. I'm still gonna lose $2,000 out of my pocket. It's not even like it's out of the project budget. It's out of my pocket. I'm actively paying to do this job. And that's what's infuriating, that you can work so hard all week and you don't even break even. It's not even a net neutral. It's a net loss of $2,000 plus my time, plus anything I could have been doing during that time. You know? One of my favorite sayings, and something that gives me comfort in times like this, for those of you who don't know, my name's Dylan, I'm 21, I run a landscaping business in Ottawa, Canada. We did over $500,000 in revenue this year. Started from basically zero, a Mazda 3 and a wheelbarrow strapped to the roof, and now we're here. I got a nice truck, trailers, all that fun stuff, but I had zero savings when I started this business. I've had zero safety net, so all the money's come out of my pocket. It's all been generated from my skill in marketing and sales and that kind of thing. But like, I've had to earn all of this, and I don't want to just sit here and like boost myself. Like, obviously I am blessed. I am blessed beyond belief. I live in a good country. I have good people in my life. God is good. So I'm not gonna sit here and say like this was all me. Of course not. But I have had to earn each rung of the ladder, let's say, right? And anyways, 2 years into this landscaping business, I'm still getting weeks where I just lose, where I'm just bleeding money. And I'd really like to get over that. And I'm starting to realize sometimes it's better to just not work than to pick a contract with a picky client. It's better to just take the week off work, not work at all, than take a contract with a bad client. That's what I'm starting to realize. You know? It's not always good to just be busy all the time. There has to be something netted, and for me that's a lesson this time, right? But this isn't the first time it's happened, so I'm just angry at myself. Why has this happened again? Every project's different, so you know, of course I can't beat myself up too much. There's new lessons that I learned, but one that has been coming back time and time again is it's better to just not work at all than to work a week and lose money. Right? I quoted this job, I don't know, somewhere around 10K, and I only did that because I had a gap in the schedule, because I was fearful that if I didn't work the month of November, winter's coming up, I have rent to pay now, I have truck payments, trailer payments, insurances, phone bills, software, I have bills to pay, right? So I was worried if I didn't work the month of November every single day that that I wouldn't be able to pay rent. But instead of, you know, that fear turning into something fruitful, it's turned into more of a detriment. I just lost a month of rent on this project. So anyways, it is what it is. It's better to not work at all than to have weeks like this. I wish I just stayed home all week and went to the gym, you know, or worked on generating more leads so that I could have quoted the jobs way higher, right? Because I could have afforded to lose more of the leads, let's say. But a saying that helps me in times like this is, you can tell the size of the man by the size of his problems. I don't know any other 21-year-olds with my problems, so I must be doing something right. I don't know any other 21-year-olds that are losing $2,000 in a week on a project. I don't know any other 21-year-olds that have $10,000 in labor payments every week. I don't know many 21-year-olds who have $5,000 in overhead for the winter, right? And that stress that I bear, that I choose to bear, is completely my choice. And I know that it will bear fruit, and it already does. Because I already earn more and I'm able to do more things than the average guy my age financially, assuming, whoever I'm comparing myself to doesn't have like daddy's money or something. For my age cohort, I'm not doing too bad, right? Monetarily, strictly speaking, monetarily. But yeah, there's a certain threshold of stress that I have to accumulate before I can achieve freedom financially, detach myself from the business, so on and so forth. There's still a lot of work to do, and there's a lot of BS that I have to keep swimming through in order to get there. And this has been one of those weeks, and one of the sayings that helps me through that is, you can tell the size of the man by the size of his problems, right? If you don't have problems, what are you even doing, Unless you're like completely enlightened and following Jesus, then okay, fair enough, you have no problems there, that's great. But for anyone else, like, you're just at home playing video games, watching Netflix, gooning, you have no problems. Like, what are you doing? You need some problems. Everyone has problems in life. You just get to pick what problems you want. You get to pick your poison, right? I didn't have to pick all of these problems, but I choose these problems because a landscaping business makes sense to me. The numbers somehow make sense to me. I like working outdoors. It's the business model that I thought I would have the best chance of succeeding in with my current skill set, right? And these are the problems that come with it. These are the problems I chose, and these problems are pretty big in the context of my life, and pretty big in the context of most 21-year-olds. And so that saying gives me peace. You can tell the size of the man by the size of his problems. I've got bigger problems than everyone else. That doesn't make me, that doesn't make me worse. That doesn't make me better. But it does give me peace knowing that I'm heading in the right direction, at least. Like, if you're gonna have problems in life, you might as well have big ones with big payoffs, right? You might as well have big ones with big payoffs. I see my friends, when we clock out at work, they go home, they do their thing, they have fun, that's great. I'm happy for them, but that's not me, unfortunately. I go home and I have commitments. I have to do accounting for the business. I have to do lead generation. I have a wife at home, right? I need to take care of her. I need to take care of my health, right? I need to call my mom. I got, like, it's never ending. I can't remember the last time I slept more than 7 hours. Maybe that's an exaggeration. Can't remember the last time I slept in, though. It's a Saturday. I really wanted to be at the boxing gym, the Muay Thai gym right now. But such is life. I'm working towards financial freedom so that in the future I can do whatever I want on any given day of the week. And so in the meantime, I have to give up my freedom now to achieve that. But I've had weeks like this in the past, and it's been fine. It is what it is, right? But it's so much more real now that I'm like actually an adult, like moved out of my parents' house finally, a wife, like if I mess up, the consequences are so much more real. You know, I have a year lease signed on an apartment. I have this truck, like, without it, I couldn't run my business. Like, imagine I default on a truck payment, you know? Like, it's not an option. My whole business is basically gone. So, I can't let that happen. So the consequences and the stakes are much higher. The problems are much bigger. Which I guess is a good thing, right? In the context of what I've been talking about. That means I'm becoming a better man. Because good men have big problems. Or at least they had big problems on the way to becoming good men. That's what I believe. You know? I don't believe you can become skilled at anything without some adversity. You can't become skillful at sailing without without waves, you know? What's that saying? A smooth sea never made a skillful sailor. And I like that. Right? There's plenty of waves in my business. And I'm just learning to navigate them all. And I know on the other side of that is competence. Once I learn to overcome all of these problems, you know, I will be one heck of a man. I'll be able to, you know, I'll have a firm handshake. I'll be the kind of guy who shows up on time. I'll be the kind of guy who can plan a project, who can lead, who can sell, who's charismatic. There's all kinds of skills that business teaches you, right? And unfortunately, most people only learn the hardest possible way, which is repeatedly making the same mistake. And that's what I've been doing. I think it was, I don't know, Marcus Aurelius or one of those philosophers who said, men learn from their mistakes, wise men learn from the mistakes of others, right? And recently I've just been learning from my mistakes. I need to be learning from the mistakes of others. I need to be learning from mistakes that haven't even happened yet. I need to be foreseeing these things, right? This project could have been way better organized. We could have had material there on the first day, could have had it delivered so I'm not currently driving, putting miles on my truck, consuming more gas, you know, racking up that $2,000 bill. There's definitely better ways I could have planned this. But unfortunately, I chose the hardest possible way to learn. I'm losing a bunch of money, losing a week, putting more stress on myself for the winter, only to learn the lesson. But I've made this mistake before and I didn't learn the lesson, you know? I can't even remember, like, the last time I went to the gym. Maybe early last week, I don't know. But I don't even have time to go to the gym anymore, man. My entire life for the last week was dedicated to this project and I got nothing out of it. And that's what sucks. That's what really sucks. Like, I can't emphasize to you guys how much that is disheartening. To work 12 hours a day for 7 days in a row, 6 days in a row. And at the end of it, someone just takes $2,000 from you, right? They're not taking it, but you just lose $2,000. You know? And that was your whole life for the week. You didn't go to the gym, you barely saw your wife, you barely had time to eat dinner. Your whole life was that project. And at the end of it, sorry, you just lost $2,000. On to the next one. You know? Like, I can't emphasize how disheartening that is. But I also want to document this. And I also take peace in the knowledge that, you know, one day I'll look back at this video when I am financially free and when I am doing bigger business endeavors, and I'll look back and I'll say, wow, like, you know, I remember going through all that and it sucked. I went through a lot of BS to get here, right? I also had a lot of help and blessings to get here. So this isn't a sob story to say my life is so hard. But if you want to achieve something great, you know, hopefully I have in the future, and hopefully that inspires people to look back and be like, damn, you know what, like this guy put in the work, like he was going through it, it wasn't easy for him, and hopefully that inspires people to work hard. It's kind of the goal with these videos. Yeah, I guess I'll end on that note. I'll end on that note. Thank you for watching. Wish me luck for the week, I guess. And like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. So